Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians. I hope you enjoyed the music interlude and a nice surprise to start this meeting on.
This one's up.
You have to face this one.
I'm not sure why you don't have that, Deb.
Maybe you need to face this one, not that one. Where's the speaker?
Can you hear me?
Is this good?
No.
Yes.
Is that?
Yes.
Okay. So you'll have to, I'll turn that one around after that.
Okay. We're going to go here. There we go. We'll start all over again. Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians. Welcome to the weekly meeting of the Rotary Club of Barrie, and a special welcome to our visiting Rotarians and special guests. Things go better when you are here. We will now begin our meeting with a live performance of O Canada, and then we'll do a toast to the Queen. Hit it, boys.
In all of us come, knowing hearts we see rise, the true, most strong and free. From far and high, O Canada, we stand on God for thee. God, keep our land. Glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on God for thee.
Awesome. Thank you very much. A toast to the Queen. Okay, now an introduction of guests and visiting Rotarians. I call upon Dr. J and Pete for introducing the band. So Dr. J, are you out there?
Sorry, I do have a guest today, and her name is Tanya Sari.
Welcome, Tanya. And Jody.
Thanks, President Deb. To introduce the band, you know pretty much all of them. Burke Irwin helped us out today, past President Craig Graham, Todd Armstrong, and on the harmonica, the wonderful Larry Pomfret and myself. Thanks for having us, President Deb.
Well, it's awesome. It's a nice treat to have you guys serenading us today. So that's awesome. Any other visiting guests and Rotarians? Trying to look through the screen. Okay. So once again, I'd like to welcome all of our guests. Thank you very much, guys, for coming out too. And we hope you enjoy your time with us. Our Beacon editor this week is David Tisch. If you're making any announcements or have something for Beacon, please email it to him, make it a little easy for him. And many thanks to Chris for a great Beacon last week. Do we have any special presentations or announcements? None came my way.
I do.
Who's speaking?
Dave Porter.
Porter, Dave.
Could you get Craig, Past President Craig, into view?
I certainly can. Craig, come on over.
Past Secretary Dave.
Well, past President Craig, when we did the changeover, you borrowed and stole a past president's pin because I had not yet received one from Harry. So
Yes.
now I have a past president's pin for you. Allow me to pass it on to you,
Thank you.
and I will drop it off to your house later.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So, thank you, Dave. And any other announcements? Okay. Birthdays and anniversaries. We do have quite a few. So for birthdays, we have Susan Barnes and Kaylee Rod. For anniversaries, Ron and Sharon Dennis, 16 years. John and Sarah Ingram, 9 years. Cheryl and David Porter, 24 years.
My videos aren't working.
Todd Tucky, 2 years. Kathy and Paul Marley, 48 years. Terry and Sandy Martin, 53 years.
Oh, wow.
Christian and Beatrice Sagan, 20 years. Helen and Joseph Tascona, 30 years. Earl and Michelle Graham, 15 years. And Doug and Betty Ann Lewis, 54 years. Club anniversaries, Kyle Campbell, 8 years. Mike Gruby, 8 years. And Ken Frith, 43 years. That's incredible. So please accept the congratulations of the club. And in honor of your birthday, donation of 5 polio plus vaccinations. Hey guys.
Okay.
And in honor of your anniversary, a contribution towards the fight against COVID-19. So, do we have a birthday song?
We do.
Birthday.
Ready? What is he? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear brother. Happy birthday to you. One more time.
That's wrong. That's
Don't you know you got him? Happy birthday, dear baby.
Todd Armstrong. That's President Craig. I can never remember this guy's name.
That's awesome. So, happy birthday. So, as we move in, we've got the COVID Pivot Rotary Edition once again. Stories of how Rotarians use a challenge to open opportunities. Today, we have Al Mallory sharing about his business. Al?
Well, thank you, President Deb. Hopefully everyone can hear me well. I'm going to share a little bit about how I've pivoted within the conference and events sector. As you can probably imagine, the conference and events sector is not an ideal one to be in nowadays, and has been one of the worst hits. Certainly, you know, generally I'd have about 60 to 70 events planned out throughout the year, and they book fairly far ahead. But of course, early in the year, they just started. Mostly it was a postponement at first, and most of my spring events were postponed till the fall. But then, as we got closer to the fall, the cancellations started to roll in, and so it's been a little tough. Of course, most of them have just pushed it off to next year with a little bit of optimism that things will be recovered. But we'll see. So just in terms of the numbers, I mean, it's quite a big sector in Canada. 229,000 people. Employed in the conference sector, which generates 33 billion a year, and it's not really just speakers and trainers and performers in the area that I'm in, because there's quite a, what I call it, knock-on effect in terms of the hotels and the caterers and everyone who's involved in that whole area. So Destinations Canada, it's at 1,800 business events that involve travel had been scheduled for the year in Canada. 500 were with international delegates, and of course the majority of those have been canceled. So so it's a bit of a challenging time. We have a professional association, and there's a lot of, what would I say, stress, I guess, in terms of how people are dealing with this and the different strategies, whether we kind of wait it out or try to adapt in different ways. Which brings me to, I guess, the how I've been pivoting, and I guess I would call it more of a partial pivot than anything. I wouldn't say it's particularly sustainable, but there have been some sectors that have, of course, done very well. Anyone who is already focused on virtual programs, if you owned Zoom stock in January at $68, it's gone, which we're using now, it's gone up 245% to $237. So any platform like that, or any speaker that was involved in already had virtual offerings, have actually done quite well. I wasn't so involved with it because it's not something I'm particularly passionate about, although I have tried to pivot to some degree so that I can continue making money, let's say. So that brings me to my virtual setup, and maybe I'll just share a screen. You guys might find this interesting. So this is what the events used to look like, where we'd have quite a few hundred people all in fairly close contact. But of course, this is no more. This is the good old days, which hopefully we'll get back to eventually. And so what I've switched to is my virtual setup that you see here, which is actually it's surprisingly more complicated in terms of the AV than the live events, which I found out the hard way, because I have to have a fairly a good camera and a capture card and an audio system, as you can see, and lighting system and all of that in order for it to work. So that's what the virtual programs look like. Now, there's some problems, I would say, with the virtual programs. Let me just stop the screen share. There we go. And one of the big ones is that it's not really, there's no networking. And so for one, delegates are less likely to pay to attend these things. So that's a problem. And often people attend these conferences as a bit of a getaway or a retreat. And so we're not seeing that. And so in general, the numbers are down, or at least the investment in these types of virtual programs is down. And I would say it's more of an emotionless setup, and that's a big problem. Yeah, I've really felt it, because the reason I got into this to begin with was I enjoy that kind of, let's say, feeding off the energy of the audience and all of that, and you don't get any of that. It's really quite a cold experience in general. You can try to mitigate that a bit by using breakout rooms and having some interaction, but it's certainly not something I would say I enjoy. I've done a partial pivot to get through this, but I am really hoping that in the next year, or ideally in the new year, we can start moving back to, I don't know if the norm, but towards the norm. In terms of the future, certainly we're all trying to keep an eye on what things are going to look like. I think we're going to be moving more towards hybrid events. And maybe that's something we should be considering as a club as well. But a lot of my clients that pushed off these events to 2021 have actually modified our agreement so that we can have this type of hybrid. Those that are comfortable attending in person in smaller numbers and spread out, that's exactly what we'll do, but it will still be live broadcasted to those that aren't able to attend. So yeah, I think that's kind of my prediction, and hopefully that happens sooner than later, and then we'll start moving more. And in the US, they're already actually getting back to live events and really large live events, but with a bit more, and of course they're not quite as careful down there, but in general what I've seen is they spread everyone out, they usher everyone in, and they are doing a pretty good job, because they want to keep the industry open and recovering, I guess is the answer. So that's my pivotal moment. Hopefully I didn't take longer than my 5 minutes.
Oh, that was great, Al. Thank you so much for sharing.
My pleasure.
So, SAA Eric.
Hey, President Debbie and crowd. I was going to stand up to do my bit, but my webcam isn't really adaptable to the standing up position. So I'm going to work from here. Do I have a thumbs up on sound quality? You able to hear me this week? All good. Excellent. Thanks. All right. Secretary Jeff, are you able to access the slide deck? And I got to make sure that I can see it. There we go. You may want to maximize that one. At the moment, I'm only seeing a little piece of it. You're going there, good. All right. Actually, let's see. I wanted to get a feedback on the anthem today. Was there a thumbs up for the way that the anthem worked out? Was that not a bad deal? Very good. All right. Thanks for that. Really nice to have a live feed on the anthem today. That was great. Thanks to future President Jody for lining that up. I did want to give you a quick update as well on the baby pool. Down to about 10 days left now. So if you want to get in on the baby pool, you'll need to get in pretty quick. We've got a pool of almost $200 now. So the winner will end up receiving a $100 gift to charity of your choice, as well as, like Michael LeCollier, providing an adult beverage to the winner. So do get that in. We'll keep that announcement going in the bulletin, and I'll update which days are still available for you. Okay, Jeff, let's go on to this one. That's the one. Okay, I don't see Rob Hamilton in the crowd today unless I missed him sneaking in. So I'm just going to keep on running this one, President Deb, until we see Rob. I am thinking we might want to do a week-by-week escalator on the fine, since we're not gaining interest on the funds from that fine. So if anybody out there wants to remind past President Rob Hamilton, 8687, to come into a meeting soon, that would be terrific. That sound okay for you, President Deb, about an escalator?
Well, I say, Eric, it's going to be harder for him to negotiate. So the longer he waits, the tougher it's going to be.
Sounds good. All right, next slide up, Secretary Jeff. I did see Graham Mallory. Graham, do you recognize the guy on the screen at the moment? You may want to unmute for this part.
Yes, I think I do.
Okay, well, I've got a little bit of a four-way test concern. I found this on a Facebook page. And if we put that slide up again, Jeff, let's see what that slide's all about. Is it up there now? And I'm missing, there we go. Okay, so this looks like a four-way test violation to me. An age analysis that shows Graham looking 17. President Deb, and knowing your four-way test as well as you would, is it the truth?
Well, I think he's rather dashing and quite young, so I think he could possibly pass for maybe not 17, but maybe 20s.
And is the analysis or estimation fair to all concerned?
No, probably not.
I think it might build goodwill and better friendships if he's got this on a Tinder account.
Yes, and certainly there's a bit of back talk going on here in the
So Graham, like, what do you got to say for yourself? Is it a good news announcement that you're 17 now?
Well, SAA Eric, and President Deb, you have to realize this was an independent study that was done. I had no control of it whatsoever, and then it was fed back to me. So it was out of my hands, so to speak.
Good deflection. That's not bad at all. I think we could, President Deb, let Graham off with the purchase of a baby pool date if he got in on it real quick. Then he'd be getting something for his money back. He clearly needs a little bit of work on his estimation skills. I'm wondering how his home price valuations work. Any more feedback, President Deb, on what we should let him off with?
Well, I think one of the baby pool dates could be one of the numbers that he used in his Facebook. So
that's true.
If 17 is free, then he gets 17, and now he's in the baby pool.
All right, Graham, that's your task for this week, is to get in the baby pool. You'll see how to do so in the bulletin, and we'll get you signed up.
I'll be happy to take part.
Thanks, Graham. All right, next slide. I'm pretty sure I did not see Sandy Martin. This was a nice coincidence that you also mentioned Sandy's 53rd anniversary. Anybody else see Sandy come in when I wasn't looking?
I don't see her there.
Okay, so we'll put this one on hold, but that's a pretty happy looking picture for a couple celebrating 53 years. So hopefully they're out living the good life on the anniversary now. So we'll hold on to that one and bring it back. Slide 6. So President Deb, I missed a lot of meetings for a while there back in the early year. Did I maybe miss a good news announcement in past President Craig's year? This was sent along to me by one of our spies, and it notes a guy by the name of Jeff McCuig as is president of Jarrett's Engineering. Did I miss something in there? We have a secretary named Jeff, if I recall correctly. Is he around, and has he got anything to say for himself?
Hey, SAR. President Deb.
All right, moving to a new mic.
Okay.
Technology is wonderful when it does or does not work. I'm heard right.
All right, so tell us about this this President Jeff.
That's just a title, really. Doesn't mean anything, does it? Yeah, Frank Garrett's retired, semi-retired about a year and a half ago, and there's been a change of ownership, and I drew the short straw or the long straw, depends on how you look at it.
So that's a statute of limitations issue there. It's been a long time coming. Again, you know, when you add interest to a good news announcement from a year and a half ago, that's kind of interesting. I did a little bit of extra research, and I did note that Secretary Jeff's LinkedIn profile still just hasn't listed as a principal engineer. So was this like obfuscation? Were you actually trying to hide the good news announcement?
I just view it as a title. I say, Eric, it's first among equals. It's not a so it's I wasn't really focused on that. We're focused on the engineering and the quality of service that Garrett's Engineering brings.
Ooh, advertising too. President Deb, I'm gonna have to throw this over to you to think about just how to manage this one.
I don't know, I'm torn because, you know, he's been doing a great job as secretary here. I just really hate to kind of jinx it. If we were in June, I could see like a $20 fine coming. But seeing that we're in August and I still have a good 10 and a half months of work, I think I'm going to take it down to he's got to put something in for the baby pool.
Okay, yeah, we can definitely work on that. I'll double check to see whether Jeff's already in, but if he does get a baby pool ticket in, that'd be a good way to deal with it.
So,
congratulations. Meanwhile, much delayed. All right, once he gets back to his station in the recycling bin, we could get the next slide up. Okay, so we didn't mention last week that we'd heard through the grapevine that there was a new pet in Jody's life. I don't recall seeing anything about that. Let's go back to that other one. Back to yep, that's the one. So Jody, tell us a little bit about new pet.
Hi, Sergeant at Arms Eric and President Deb again. I haven't bought a new dog, Sergeant at Arms Eric. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, really? Because there is a little bit of evidence on Facebook to the contrary.
I perhaps didn't say there isn't a new dog in my house, but it's not really my dog. So, well, I guess maybe. No.
I see that Paula seems to have a dog on screen currently. Would that be the dog in question?
That would be Bruce.
Bruce. Oh, Bruce.
That is Bruce.
Okay, Bruce is not a surprise name for future President Jody. Okay, let's get that photo evidence back up there, Jeff. So, you know, is that looking like Paula's dog, or is it maybe looking a little bit more like Jody's dog? There seems to be an awful lot of love going on there.
Well, you know what, I don't have a good defense here. And It was fun last week. We were up in Tobermory hiking through the trails up there, and ironically, it was Bruce on the Bruce. Is what we did.
Nice.
Trail. So yeah, that was that dog. Paula brought him home, and I'd be lying if I didn't say I love him. He's an awful lot of fun. So I think I'm guilty as charged here.
All right, President Deb, I think my biggest concern in here was the puppy appeared to be enjoying an adult beverage, and I'm a little bit concerned about the corruption of a minor. I do know that you've got to take a risk here about finding a future president because there could be blowback. But what do you think? What would you like Jody to do on this one? Oh, audio's light there, Deb.
Okay, you got 10.5 months to make up for it. So I'm going with a fine. So I'd say $5 for the beer drinking. $5 for trying to side the dog over to Paula. So I guess the option is either go in the baby pool or $10.
He's already in the pool, so let's add new money.
Well, if I may, President Deb, I've been following your lead this year. You're telling me what to do. I'm happily learning, so you probably are safe next year. How about, Eric, if we take the 10, times it by 5, and I'll put $50 into the baby pool payout with love for Mike and Bonnie and TBD. How's that?
Awesome. That is super. Future President Jody. Nice, nice set. All right, President Deb, that's all I've got for this week. Thank you all for playing.
Thanks so much, Eric. You did a great job. That was, I know you had a busy week and you came off of 2 weeks of holidays right into a nice list of things for SAA and some camaraderie. So thank you so much. And remember, folks, if you've got something, spy on your fellow Rotarians. It certainly helps. We're not meeting at lunch, so we don't get that side conversations to try to pick up on things. So help SAA Eric out a little bit and pass along some things. That would be awesome. So we have Nicole Parmer as our guest speaker today, the journey behind Eventbright. And we have Mallory to introduce her. Mallory?
Hi, President Deb and fellow Rotarians. Yes, Nicole, thank you for joining us today. Because we're doing Zoom, she's able to join us from Vancouver, which is so great. Nicole's inspiring. She is a serial entrepreneur. She is an author, a speaker, and I don't really want to get into too much of her story because she's going to talk about that today. So Nicole, thanks for being here, and I'll let you take it away.
Sure. Thank you to everyone for having me. You know, during these COVID times, I'm not sure how anybody else is feeling, but I've been missing concerts. So starting a meeting with a rock band was the best way to kick off the day. Just good for the soul, I think. Congratulations to the gentleman who just became president or CEO of the company and the new dog. It's great. This is a way better newsreel than what's really on the news. So thank you for having me today. As Mallory mentioned, my journey has kind of been all over the place. I'm an entrepreneur, but I'm currently actually in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, where the journey all began. So, sorry, I'll give you guys a little bit of brief history about me, ask any questions you want, and then I guess that's it for me. But as Mallory mentioned, I'm an author, I'm a speaker, but I actually started my career and my life journey, I guess, as a school teacher. So I went to university and I got a degree in education, a degree in deaf education. I got another degree in psychology and then rounded it all off with a master's in statistics and measurement. From there, I decided to try my hand in a PhD. So I convinced my fiance at the time, J.H. Parmer, to quit teaching with me. So we quit our teaching jobs in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, and I convinced him that it would be a great idea to move to Phoenix, Arizona, where we could do my PhD for 5 years. And lo and behold, as life just kind of does, we got to Phoenix and we both decided we couldn't live there. We couldn't do 5 years there. So what did we do? We took his ticketing company, Pick-a-Tick, and we decided to move to San Francisco to get that up and running. We were very fortunate. We had a lot of support from the Canadian government. We used a lot of resources in order to get ourselves down to San Francisco and really try to launch our company, Pick-a-Tick. And very shortly after we landed in San Francisco, we realized that we were a Me Too company. So meaning there were already probably 52 companies doing what we were doing, and there was one behemoth in the event space, and that was Eventbright. And so while we were in San Francisco, we learned that if we wanted to even be a player in the event and ticketing space, we really had to, one, up our game. We were a team of 2 at the time. And 2, we had to pivot, and we had to find something that was different and that people needed, and that people would come to our platform rather than Eventbright or Brown Ticket Bag or any of the other big players out there. So we left San Francisco because we realized we had to build a team, and we could not afford to do that in San Francisco. We didn't have the US dollars that the other companies had. So we decided to move and go to Toronto. Again, the Canadian government was instrumental in placing us, and we found a lot of credits. So we were able to use IRAP credits and SHRED credits, and we were able to hire talent, which was what we needed. We needed engineers, we needed marketing, et cetera, et cetera. And so once we were in Toronto, we really gained steam, and we decided to build what we called Ticket Tilt. So we wouldn't put on an event unless there was enough interest, unless people made enough money. Then once the event provider and the event promoter realized they had enough money, the event would go on. And then lo and behold, there was already a company doing this, and we got a cease and desist. So back to the drawing board we went, and we decided to pivot and make tickets available on websites. And that's kind of where we got our footing. So we decided to really move from taking people off of the website onto Eventbright and keeping people on our website. And that's when Eventbright started to notice us. They started realizing that we were players, we were serious, and so they started watching us. So that was really fun. So then once again, we moved to New York City in order to be kind of taught by the best and the brightest. Again, the Canadian government was super instrumental. Hi, sweetheart. Still in a meeting. Be right back with you. Jai Parmer. And so we left New York City, and after learning, working in the Canadian Technology Accelerator, and we decided to move to Vancouver. And it was in Vancouver that really, I guess, life really pivoted for us. So when we moved back because I was expecting Jai, and my husband had his team, and it was thriving, and we needed a place for everybody to be together, and the whole team wanted to do Vancouver. So when we got our footing in Vancouver, I pivoted once again. At that time, I had been helping Pick-a-Tick. I'd been doing all their marketing, content marketing, branding, etc. Just like a normal startup, wearing, probably 52 different hats. And then in Vancouver, I decided to move on to help Neil Huff and help him with Canada's very first clean technology accelerator. And so that was Foresight CAC. And that was just a really great learning experience about the potential Canada had for clean energy and clean resources, which was wonderful. And then in Vancouver, Jai was born, so my life again kind of took a curve in the road, and I was going to stay home with him and be a full-time stay-at-home mom. But what we learned was my brother-in-law, Jayesh's brother, who was the CFO of our company at the time, had misappropriated funds and left our company insolvent. So while we were building what we thought was a really great team and company, and we thought we had all these funds to move forward, we realized we were actually a week away from insolvency and bankruptcy. So life turned once again for me, and my husband went hard, and he had to fundraise money again. And I decided to go back to work full time, but back in marketing. And what was really great was Vancouver, and the companies in Vancouver welcomed me with open arms. So I tried working for a few of them. just to see what I really liked, what worked, what didn't work, what they were doing efficient, maybe what some deficiencies were. And from there, I decided to branch out on my own and start my own growth marketing company whilst still helping Pick-a-Tick and being with Jai full time. And then once we had Jai, for all the parents out there, I'm sure you've been in similar situations where you're kind of documenting your child's life. The baby books aren't really working for you. So I decided to just jot notes of Jai's life. And once again, life being what it is, turned into 50 children's books. And so that's kind of when I met Mallory, who invited me to the meeting today. She came to our book launch at Indigo and Chapters, and thank you for coming to support us. And so it was an honor and a privilege to be able to do that and to become a children's author and to be invited to Word on the Street. But as Mallory mentioned, I think earlier in the meeting, with COVID, we're all pivoting. So everything's been shut down and obviously no more live events. So those won't be happening for a while. And so in 2018, I'll jump back here, but in 2018, Pick-a-Tick got our legs again, and we were full throttle. We had money in the bank again. Our team was growing. Everything was great. And Eventbright came knocking on the door, asking to do a merger and an acquisition with us. And of course, we said yes. So in 2018, we sold our company to Eventbright. And my husband and I, for the first time, parted ways and we're not working together. But then this year, COVID being what it is, 2020, he was let go because Eventbright publicly laid off about 55% of their team worldwide and has continued laying off people because, again, as Alan mentioned, there's not a lot of traction for live events, and nor is it safe, I guess, in some places. So lo and behold, life being what it is again, we pivoted, and my husband and I have launched a product company as well. And so that has just got off the ground, and it's exciting because I get to use all the skills again that I learned with Pick-a-Tick. So back to really grassroots marketing, working with my husband, content marketing, you name it. It's been a wild ride and a fun journey. And I think what I've taken from everything, all the surprises life has thrown at us and me, is that you just have to enjoy the ride. I'm sure there's many of you out there also pivoting or trying different hats just because of COVID. But yeah, for me, it's, when life has thrown a fork in the road, it's been a fun and exciting time. I've always been able to learn new things and grow new companies. So it's been great. And so we are now building our product company and hoping, COVID things lift so we can start traveling again. And yeah, that's kind of where my story ends for now. Are there any questions, any comments?
I'll maybe just ask a question about these the children's books. So
yeah.
So did you launch all 15 right off the bat, and have you been able to find a reach for those, I guess, or is it mostly local?
Yeah, great question. So there's actually 50.
Oh, 50. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, this is Jai. Can Jai? Thank you. And so they're actually about him. So they're called The Adventures of Jai Binks. And we have had reach across Canada. But what's really great is parents have started asking us to write books about their children. So all of the books are about diversity and inclusion. So every book has a person with a disability, or there's a book about divorce, or there's an LGBTQ book. So we've been able to get really good reach. And just with what is unfortunately happening in the United States, our books got a bump from that as well.
Me use calculator.
I just love having the little one in the picture with 8 grandkids. I appreciate what you're going through with trying to do a Zoom and try to manage the little one. But does anyone else have some questions? We have a little bit of time here. Oh. Well, you have to show those book titles off to Mallory. And,
Oh, hi.
See a question from Marif?
Question. All right.
Hi, President Deb. Thank you. Just a quick question. Obviously, you've gone through quite a journey, and you went through a journey geographically as well as different businesses. What would you say was your common, I've got my own opinion based on the calories that I burned listening to your story, but what would you say is sort of the common driver from a few years ago to today through all of those businesses?
I think like common driver in terms of the synergies and what happens between them all.
Synergies and you know, I guess the plan for yourself, your future plan on the destination where you want this journey to take you.
Yeah, great question. So my husband and I are staunch goal setters. We have our 1 year, 5 year, 10-year plans always. And so what we're really trying to do with the children's book specifically is we're actually trying to get in front of Netflix, Disney, or Hulu and trying to launch those as a series. With the synergies to that question, what was the same through all of them? It was in San Francisco that I really learned kind of what I was supposed to do in life, I think. So I went and I became a teacher and I loved the children, but I realized that job was more about relationships, communication. And then when I went to San Francisco and I started doing a lot of marketing, I realized that it all came together. So with marketing, you have to be really good at communicating in a very short time. You have to be very good at storytelling. So for me, the linear path of that has always been the storytelling and the marketing. And I think we've been successful because we have that, right? So with Picketic, we were able to tell our story, do our marketing, do our communication, and that caught Eventbright's eye. With my digital marketing company, we're able to do the same things, and it's really great because we're able to do this for a lot of companies now. So we work with a lot of companies around Vancouver and in the United States, and we're able to support them and help grow their companies because of that skill as well. And then last but not least, this product company, Gunky, we just launched, same thing, marketing, communication, storytelling. Did that answer your question?
It does. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you. And does anyone else have a question? Screens. If you do,
I see one question that popped up on my screen.
Okay.
It says, what does your crystal ball predict for a possible live performance date in 2020? Woo. I don't know. I don't know if we will be back to live performance dates if there's no vaccine. I don't know how many people will be allowed to be together, but is that?
Okay. Well, thank you, Nicole and Eric. Finally thank her.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, President Debbie. And Nicole, thank you so much for taking the time from apparently a very hectic and busy schedule to join us today. You're definitely inspiring as we were introduced by Mallory as what we could, the foreshadow to your presentation. But you also certainly left us, I think personally, with some thoughts around resilience. Obviously, your key word that you kept bringing back into your presentation was a determination and a willingness to pivot. And I think if that's a message for us today on how each of us in our own lives and businesses can move forward through COVID and through any other curveballs that life throw at us, I think your story is quite exemplary. So thank you very much for your time today with us.
Thank you very much for your kind words, and thank you for having me.
I do thank you, and on behalf of the club, I'd like to give you a certificate of appreciation for being our guest speaker. Rotary is this close to ending polio worldwide. So 10 polio plus vaccinations has been made in your name, and Rotary's Polio Resource Center are helping the fight against COVID-19 by supporting pre-preparations and response activities in many countries. COVID-19 efforts has been made in your name as well. So thank you again very much for coming and joining us, and we really appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
Okay, President Deb's Stronger Together, Together Inspired moment. Going with something on the internet, so we are Wikipedia, so the free encyclopedia. So many of us use Wikipedia on a regular basis and do not stop to think what a great example of teamwork that this website portrays. Volunteer writers and editors contribute by inputting knowledge and facts around the world onto the website in order to create an accessible and easy understood encyclopedia database. Wikipedia is one of the most viewed websites in the world and is the result of the cumulative efforts of a vast and somewhat enormous team. A few more numbers and data there. I'm sure that you're taking a look at it, but that is our Stronger Together, Together Inspired moment. So just before I say having no other business, please stay on a few minutes. We're going to enjoy Mustang Sally after the bell rings. And then after that, hopefully a little camaraderie. So with that, having no other business, Rotary business, I declare this meeting adjourned. Have a great afternoon, everyone.
President. 2, 3, 4. Mustang Heavy! Yes, you better slow your Mustang down. Mustang, get me now, baby. Yes, you better slow your Mustang down. You've been running all over town. Oh, I guess you better get your back feet on the ground. All you wanna do is ride around, baby. Ride, baby, ride. See now, all you wanna do is ride around, baby. Ride, baby, ride. Now all you wanna do is ride around, baby. Ride, baby, ride. Now all you wanna do is ride around, baby. Ride, baby, ride. One of these early mornings, oh, you're gonna be wiping those sleeping eyes. I bought you a brand new Mustang, a victim of 1965. Now you come around signifying a woman, but you don't let me ride. President Debbie, no baby. Yes, you better slow your Mustang down. You've been running all over town. Oh, I guess you better get your black feet on the ground. Now all you wanna do is ride around, baby. Ride, baby, ride. Say all you wanna do is ride around, baby. Ride, baby, ride. Oh, now all you wanna do is ride around, baby. Ride, baby, ride. Oh, now all you wanna do is ride around, baby. Ride, baby, ride. One of these early mornings, oh, we're gonna be wiping those weeping eyes. Those weeping eyes. Those weeping eyes. Those weeping eyes. Just keep an eye